Morning everybody, we're here at Henderson's lineup today. My name's Gabe and I'm a technician here. Today we got an F53 came in for an RPA and he basically wanted to get his coach handling and driving smooth, so he went for basically everything. So today we're going to video the SS400 Trac bar on the rear, so come take a look. So here you got your installation instructions, and that'll cover basically everything, torque specs and installation and what to look out for and what to be aware of. So down here we got the track bar laid out. This is basically the kit here. Okay, so today we're going to be working on the 16 to 18K, so that would take the SS400. And one thing to note is the heavier axles will have the bolt-on third member up front here, so with the 18K you can easily look back and see the inspection cover back here. That's a good indicator that you got an 18K, but also look at your GVW sticker up in the cab to be 100%. So with the 18K axle, you're going to have the bolt-on inspection cover back here. So with the SS400, it's going to have this bracket here, and it's going to mount under the factory sway bar. It'll be orientated like so, and it will slip under the saddle bracket, and then you'll secure these set screws and get new hardware going through there. You'll discard the old hardware. So also you'll need to install this spacer on the passenger side underneath the saddle brackets as well. Keep the sway bar at the same level across the axle. And then you're just going to run them in where they're even and secure. And one thing you want to take note of is your clearance here for the frame. And you got brake lines coming through here, an emergency brake cable. Just be sure that you're not going to be compromising those. This bracket, you can easily just bend up slightly, but be very careful because we got brake lines here and we don't want to create any kinks in the line or anything that might cause a leak. So next we can tighten our hardware here on our saddle brackets. Okay, so now we're going to tighten these down. I like to run them down with a gun, but try not to over torque. I'll just get them snug and then come back with my torque wrench and torque them down 45 to 50 pounds. So okay, now we got them all buttoned up. 45 to 50 foot-pounds. So this one I had the nut and bolt. There it is. And that's what we want to see. We want to be able to turn it a little bit before it clicks. Because if it clicks when you put your torque wrench on, that's a good indicator you over torqued it. So the next step will be our frame pinch plate. So finally, once you get your saddle bracket bolts lined up and torqued right, then you're going to just secure these set screw bolts. Your instructions don't have a specific torque for these, but just nice and snug is all you need, with a little bit of Loctite on them. Okay, so next we'll install the frame bracket and pinch plate. Go just right up on the frame here, sandwich them in, and just start these bigger bolts from underneath. Well, so now what's important here is we need to line this bracket up with this bracket on this side. So you'll push it down the frame, and what I like to do is I like to get my track bar, put it up there. So the idea is we don't want this to be offset. They want to be parallel, and you can go either side of the bracket. It's not going to hurt anything as long as you keep these things straight with each other. So just to get an idea of where I need to be, put my track bar up here and just visually see that it's not tweaked one way or the other, and it's just going to sit flat on that bracket. For this track bar, you can put it on either side of the brackets, but one thing to take note of here is with these Fords, you generally want to go on the back side because of your clearance here with the factory sway bar. See, that's getting kind of close. So it'll be better to have this out a little bit and have our track bar back here. That way we get away from all this. So what you'll want to do is secure these bolts. You don't want to tighten them down too much because you're going to want to adjust these in first. So you just want the bracket to be in place. Make sure your gun's going the right direction. See, it's not completely tight. I can still move it around if I need to. And now I'm going to run these set bolts in. And you don't want to go too far with these because you'll start to see this pinch plate move up the frame. You just want to get it against the frame and set them there. And you also put a little Loctite on these and these. And then once these are set, then you can go ahead and tighten these down. I believe it is going to be, they're 70 to 80 foot-pounds for these bottom pinch plate bolts. So that still lines up good. I'm happy with that. So important thing here is to make sure your track bar is going to line up and still be parallel. You don't want any harsh angle here between bracket to bracket. They need to be about the same location on the frame. So I'm up here just loose fitting my track bar and just lining things up, and I don't feel any teetering from one end to the other, and it's looking like it's going to line up just fine. So once you get your frame bracket where you want it and tightened up, you're going to get your 3/4 end wrench and tighten up these jam nuts with a little bit of Loctite, and that'll keep this bolt from backing out. It'll keep that plate where it needs to be. So same thing, these are just secure, and then you jam nut to keep them in place. So now we'll torque these down. It's 70 to 80 foot-pounds. I got my torque wrench set at 70. There it is. All right. So now that step is complete. We are torqued, we're secure, jam nuts in. We're ready for our track bar to be installed. So now we're ready to install the track bar, and important thing here is you want to sandwich these bushings with these washers. Very important that we do that, or else we can just have that bolt get sucked right through the bushing and have a return customer not so happy. Same as this side. And another thing to take note is you may have to adjust this end to line up with your frame bracket, and never forget that you want to secure that jam nut when you're fully installed, and we'll show you that. So here we go. So what I like to do is I'll get this bolt in and start the nut on the back side just to keep it secured. So I'm just running this nut down just to keep the track bar from falling out. And now I'm going to adjust this end to my bracket here. And notice it's a little far out, so I'm going to adjust it in. Still a little far out, so you Might have to adjust that jam nut to get what you need. So one thing that'll help you is secure this side. You don't have to totally anchor it down, just keep it secure so there's no slop, so you definitely can get a good alignment on this side of your bracket. So that's what I'm gonna do now. I'm just gonna suck this nut down a little bit to hold it to the bracket. Okay, so it's secure, but it's not finished yet, so we'll have to get back on that side to torque it down. Now we can make our adjustment here. So it's looking good there. So here's where you don't want to forget these washers. We got them on both sides of that bushing. There we are. Okay, so now we got our bolt in through here. Remember, we got to go back and torque that. We're lined up here. Our bolts started, so we're good. We're gonna tighten these both up. And their torque specs are, they're running at 120 to 150 foot-pounds. That's great. Our instructions cover all torque specs you're gonna come across, so no excuses. And again, I'm not gonna fully tighten it with my gun because there's no way of knowing where my torque is. So I'll just run them down snug and then come back with my torque wrench. Same with this side. So now, get our big old torque wrench up here, 1 1/8 inches. Get your wrench on this side. Get a grip on it. Not a whole lot of room for play, but we got it. Next, we'll move on to this side. So we're gonna go ahead with 135, which is right around in the middle range of the torque spec. We're getting there. Here it is. One more. There it is. That's what we're looking for. Okay. Essentially, the last thing you're going to do is this jam nut here. You're going to want to secure it all the way down. We don't want that end coming loose. You'll put a little Loctite on there too. Get it nice and secure. Yeah, she's not going nowhere. So with that completes the track bar install. And I always like to go through, make sure I didn't miss anything. Take it for a drive, see how it feels, notice any differences, and take note of that.
Okay, talk loud.
So this includes the install of the SS400 track bar on the 16 to 18K chassis F53. I appreciate your business and hope to see you guys in the next SuperSteer video.